Welcome back, everybody. I'm really excited to introduce my special guest today, Christopher Goldston, awesome, wonderful, renowned composer. Christopher, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time to meet with us today.
And thanks for letting me share with you.
I'd like to turn now to talking about some of your pieces, which are on the new National Federation of Music Clubs Festival Bulletin in the piano solo list. And I'd like to start with a piece that isn't actually yours, but was composed by your mom, and that is Musical Chairs. And this is this really lovely lyrical piece. It starts off with these great, well-designed wrist motions, three-note ideas in each hand echoed in inversion in the other hand. Talk to us a little bit about this piece and what it means to you and some of the things that you hear in it.
This piece was a really old composition of my mom's that I found that was never published, so I self-published it. I think that one of her early projects as she was starting to write for piano was to write some children's games or children's pieces like Kavalevsky and Bartok and such. And so for musical chairs, it's definitely a game because you hear this phrase that keeps stopping. And so at the end of each phrase, everyone has to go and find their chair. And so that is really the key to this piece. And I think also, since it's in three, just filling it really in one to help push the phrase. And then you get to the place where you have to scramble to get to a chair again. So it is a very fun piece in that way.
There's a point in this piece between measure 32 and 33 where the students have to shift because we have an ottava. What are some techniques that a student can use to help make that shift at the keyboard smoothly?
In this particular instance, there's a stop to the phrase because everyone is going to find their chair. And so really you can practice just jumping and finding the new location as fast as you can. And covering the notes, but not actually playing the notes so that you train your body just to find the next area as quickly as possible. Also, both hands move at the same time, so you are going to have to jump quickly like that. Sometimes if one hand is crossing over, then you just have to say, hey, I have 3 beats of rest. I need to be crossing and using that time wisely. But in this case, you actually do need to shift both hands pretty quickly. But it's preceded by a long duration, so that really helps.
Talk to us a little bit about how we should use wrist motion to help us shape some of these three-note ideas that keep showing up in this piece.
This is a really good exercise for that because you have mirror image phrases, basically, or patterns within the phrase. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can be making slight circles with that. So I think that with the hands taking turns, giving and taking, but it's also mirror image with the same finger numbers. I think that really helps with the gesture quite a bit.
The piece is really beautifully designed in that aspect. It was immediately apparent when I started sight reading it. So I can't wait to teach this and to use this with my students. Are there any other insights you'd like to share about this piece?
No, I think that the main thing for this one is just the imagery of a game of musical chairs and hearing the phrase stop and realizing that those stops are when the music stops. And what happens when the music stops? Everyone has to rush to find their chair. It really makes the piece fun.
Christopher Goldston, thanks so much for joining us today to discuss your mom's piece, Musical Chairs. I really appreciate your time and all the insights you had to share with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.